Here we go. Call the meeting to order of the New Ulm Safety Commission meeting, and so we'll start off with just the introduction of the members of the group.
Mr. Vice Chair, before we get going, we just need to have this public notice to conduct the meeting by teleconference read into the record. So this is just something we have to do since we have Ms. Grebner attending the meeting via telephone. So due to the circumstances of the COVID-19, the Safety Commission will be held in the council chambers at City Hall, 100 North Broadway, New Ulm, Minnesota on Thursday, July 2nd, 2020 at 5 p.m. It will be conducted by teleconference pursuant to the authority of Minnesota State Statute 13D.021. The public may observe the meeting by watching it televised on New Ulm Community Access Television on the date and time designated. The meetings are televised over both cable systems, Comcast Cable Channel 14 and HD Channel 859, and New Ulm Telecom Channel 3 and HD Channel 903. So now we can go ahead and get going with the agenda.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll just, we'll have maybe the introduction of the board members.
Sure. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yep, Bob Beck.
Angela Foster.
Larry Hunstead.
Don Hellendrung
Okay, thank you.
and
Amanda Grebner via phone.
Amanda Grebner. Thank you, Amanda. Nice to hear you. Okay.
Hi.
All right, minutes of the November 7th meeting, we'll just pass on that, Don?
Well, we should, Mr. Vice Chair, go through the election of officers before we get going.
We'll talk about the election of officers?
Yep.
Okay. Election of officers, 2019 officers, Chair is Bill Ofterheide, Vice Chair Larry Hunstead, Secretary Don Hellendrung.
Mr. Vice Chair, Bill Ofterheide did state he's unable to be here today, but he did express interest in being nominated as chair again, if that's what you choose to do today.
Okay.
and I will stay on as secretary if so wish.
All right.
Will you stay on as vice
I will
chair?
stay on as Vice Chair, if we so wish, unless somebody else wants to step it up.
That is acceptable. I make a motion to accept those.
Second that motion.
Motion's been made and second for the election of officers. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hi.
Mr. Vice Chair, we'll have to do a roll call vote because of the teleconference.
Oh, okay. Have to do a roll call vote.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, guys.
All right. Don?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Bob?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yep.
Okay. And Larry? Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Now we move on to the minutes of the November meeting. Don, do you pass on that?
In reference to the the minutes. I move to accept the minutes, waive the reading.
Okay. Do we need to have a motion on that to accept the minutes as presented and waive the reading?
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Roll call.
Aye.
Oh, roll call.
Carried. Okay. Now, old business. We do
Oh.
not,
Roll call.
The roll call.
We need the roll call vote.
we need a roll call. Okay. All right. Don?
Yes, on the minutes.
Okay. Larry, yes on the minutes.
Angie, yes.
Bob?
Bob, yes on the minutes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Okay. So, now we're ready to move into the business part of the meeting. The old business, we don't look like we don't have any old business.
No.
And new business. First item for new business is a stop sign request, Center and Minnesota Streets, and email. I'll read this. Okay. Oh, just a second here.
I can jump in here,
All right.
Vice Chair. That's a little easier for me to do with the overhead camera here, so. Just so everyone can get their bearings, we had a request from Michael down at the New Ulm Chamber for a requested three-way stop establishment at the intersection of Center Street and Minnesota Street. As his email states, with the opening, particularly Lee, the ice cream shop, he's seen an increase of especially pedestrian traffic and young pedestrian traffic at that, kind of using that area. And he had some concerns with the safety of the people crossing the street at this crossing in particular. So, so Michael sent the email out, and we threw it on the agenda for discussion today. From a traffic engineering standpoint, there's probably not warrants met for the establishment of a three-way control at that intersection, but this route is not on the state aid system. So it gives a little bit more leniency to local decisions as opposed to following an actual traffic study. We don't have traffic counts or pedestrian counts at the intersection. So it's really, really up to the commission as a whole of what you want to do at this location. So we can open it up for discussion and see what the feelings of the commission are.
All right, any comments on that?
Well, like I said, I talked with someone today, I mentioned about it, and he says a lot of people coming up, he says he quite often comes up on Center Street from the east, heading west, and he noticed that quite often the people on Minnesota Street actually stop.
There, yeah, yep, I've observed that as well.
So it's just, but then there's also the ones that are in a hurry, and you know, it's can be quite a quick shot through there. So I don't see a big concern, as you say, of putting up stop signs there. At first it'll cause people to be a little concerned, but I think it's a understandable thing to do. The do not enter sign on the back of the stop sign, I think really a do not enter sign across the street in the middle of Center Street would be a better location, because then people at the stop sign will be looking straight ahead, they'll see it. Where here, you're gonna start to turn before you see
Yeah, there's
one at the stop sign.
yeah, there's not a good, being at that intersection so wide, there's really not a good spot other than on the back of the stop signs where it actually would catch the driver's eye. There is currently one that's located on that street light. There's a do not enter sign, but there's not one that mirrors it across the street. At other intersections, I believe, there are do not enters on both lights that are at that corner. For some reason, this one doesn't have one, so.
Is there a sign on Center, like for like a?
There's one-way signs, yep.
Yeah.
Kind of, they're on the center medians, I believe. Jeff, does that sound right? The one-way signs?
Does this have any effect on some of the things that are happening downtown with, say, the curbside service and stuff like that? Will that have an effect on it? Say, such as, for one thing, is that I don't know. Let's see, Center in Minnesota. This, you know, the Legion occasionally has you know, different events down there that causes a lot of traffic, and there's a lot of traffic that gets held up on Minnesota Street. So does this have any effect on that, or would it help it?
I would guess I don't see any adverse effect. If anything, it might slow people down just a little bit more, which would help.
Which is not all bad.
Right.
Which is not all bad.
Yep. And being that this corridor, if you look at the corridor as a whole from 3rd North to Center Street, that would leave only one uncontrolled intersection, because it's controlled at 3rd, it's controlled at 1st North. So then we have 2nd North is through, but 2nd North doesn't see the congestion with pedestrians, in my opinion, that Center Street does.
Okay.
I don't know if Michael, you want to state anything to that, or if I hit all the points, but.
No, that was, you did a good job.
Thank you.
Is a stop sign the best way to deal with pedestrians crossing the street, or could we just put one of those yellow signs with the yield right of way to pedestrians, stop for, do that rather than a stop sign?
That's an option as well. Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent to which solution. I think if we're going to put something up, I would lean stop sign just because of the kind of corridor in which we are. If this was kind of out, not in downtown, probably might have a little different opinion on it, but I think generally we see the slower speeds. You're always going to have some that travel faster in this corridor, but I think overall the speeds are lower, so I think a stop sign is probably, if we're going to do anything, would probably be the appropriate solution.
So,
Any comments, anything else?
well then,
I would
Amanda?
just want to say that I come often up Center Street from like Valley, that area, and it's really hard to see the cars that are coming down Minnesota Street. You kind of have to pull out into the intersection a little bit, to see if any cars are coming. So having a stop sign there would give you a little bit more, you would know people have to stop, so you wouldn't. It's not as dangerous, I think,
Yeah.
for a car. But
Yeah,
so I'm for it.
that's a good point, Amanda. It is, as you're heading from east to west, coming up the hill, that is kind of a tight sight line area, so that's a good point as well. And I do want to note that any time we do put up new stop signs, is we would flag or put flashers on the new signs to try to alert the traveling public a little bit better, which is something we've done in other instances where we've installed new stop signs. Last time I think we did it was up by Washington Elementary Campus.
Yeah.
So, yep. So and that seems to work pretty well. So
based on our discussions, I'll make a motion that we recommend to the city council to install a stop sign, and on the back of the stop signs, put do not enter signs to reestablish it.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion's made and second that we install a stop sign on Center Street with a stop sign and a do not enter. Is there any further discussion?
I do want to touch one other thing. The other stop signs will either we'll put three-way or all-way stop underneath the others on Center Street as
Okay.
well to make that fully compliant according to the Uniform Traffic Control Manual. So
We'll go through the individual
Motion.
motion.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
roll call.
We have to do roll call.
We'll get used to this eventually, Mr. Vice Chair.
We get roped into all this. Okay. All right. So, Don,
I agree
you
with the
accept?
motion. I accept the motion.
Yes.
Yes. Bob?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion passed. I hope. All right.
We're making it work. Right, the next request, Mr. Vice Chair, is kind of along the similar lines. A stop sign has been requested on South Park Road where it intersects with 17 South Street. So just to familiar yourself with the area, former Targets over here, Shells follow the road out and back in this direction. We had the request from the resident that lives at the on the corner of the intersection of 17th South and Franklin Street, with concerns about the speed of traffic on the South Park Road, or the cartway that splits South Park in half there. There is an existing stop sign at the location at 18th South, where that meets up with that primary traffic that goes to Shells. It is a tight corridor. There's a lot of users in the park. So I told that resident we would include this on the next agenda, which is before you today.
Question, is there a stop sign on South Franklin
No, there's not.
coming off 17?
Everything else in the area is uncontrolled.
Okay.
So putting a stop sign at that particular intersection, basically, is just making it.
To slow the
stop
traffic
illegal.
down.
I mean, people stop the way it is.
They're supposed
They
to.
should be stopped.
They should be stopping.
Well, you
yes.
sort of have to, because you have to slow down.
Yeah.
turn.
To make that
If you're gonna
corner.
make the
Yeah.
turn, you
So you're
gotta slow
turning
down.
left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a regular roadway intersection. You're hitting the concrete ramp
Yeah.
in the approach, so you should be,
Okay.
by the rules of the road, you should be stopping according to state statute before you enter on the 17th. But
I think you're keeping the honest people honest.
Yep.
Is what you're doing.
Yeah.
By putting that stop sign there.
Yep.
Some people stop some people slide right through there. And I know I come along there and I always stop, but some people don't. All right. We have any further discussion? Amanda,
Yeah.
looks okay to you?
Well, we'd have to make a motion, I guess. But yeah, I don't really see a problem. I drive that often. That road, well, not as much since Target closed, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, people can pull out real fast if they don't want to stop. So, and then you can turn onto a Franklin like really fast too. Then if you're,
Yep.
haven't slowed down.
Yep.
So.
So does anybody want to make that a motion to install that stop sign?
So move
Don?
that we recommend to the city council to install a stop sign at the intersection of South Park and 17th South.
Okay. Any
I'll
fir-
second it.
Go ahead.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Motion's been made and
For-
second. Any further discussion?
Roll call.
no, roll call.
Roll call. Don?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes. Bob?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yep. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
We're getting this down now.
Yes. Well, it's been a long time since I had to do any parliamentary procedure, as you can tell. All right, next item is,
crosswalks.
Item 5.3. You want me to just jump into it, Mr. Vice Chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
okay. 16th North.
Next item on the agenda, Chair Ofterheide received a call from a citizen requesting crosswalks be painted on 16th North Street at Franklin and at Jefferson. It sounded from the conversation with Mr. Ofterheide that this resident and has some school-aged children that cross 16th North to get to the bus shuttle area at Washington Elementary School, or Washington Learning Center campus there. So in order to kind of call out those locations a little bit better, she was requesting crosswalks be painted at that location.
My question is not that I'm not against the crosswalks, but should that be more than just those areas? Should it also be across Franklin Street? You may have kids coming from, different areas.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think the primary concern is the amount of traffic on 16th, whereas Franklin and Jefferson don't see that heavily of traffic, and there's stop control
Okay.
at Franklin and Jefferson for those kids or adults, for that matter, for any pedestrian to cross safely at that point without the crosswalks being painted. I think the concern is with the uncontrolled traffic on 16th North that traverses east to west and west to east.
And as I was looking at this, and also consider now you have that splash park only a
Yep.
block or so away from here, so you may see more traffic
Yep.
going across those streets.
Mhm.
That's where I was thinking maybe, more than just the one place, maybe also on the other side, double.
My kids play softball at those fields, and when there's games, especially on this field on the corner of Jefferson and 16th North, there's not a lot of parking, so sometimes you do end up parking up that hill. And it is busy, so I think that a crosswalk could be utilized.
Well, with Don's discussion, I would put more than just the two there. I'd put them on both sides of Franklin and Jefferson there, so they can utilize either side of the
Right.
street with the crosswalk,
Put
rather
it-
than just the,
Put it in both places.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, so it's,
On Jefferson Street and Franklin.
yeah.
Yeah.
but both, well, I don't know how you'd refer
So
to
you're
it.
saying instead of the two, have 4 crosswalks painted crossing
Right.
16th? Okay.
I think there's enough of usage with what's going on with this summer that you'll see quite a few people crossing there.
Well, I think crosswalks are not a bad item. They're good. It's good to have crosswalks wherever you can have them. You know,
Yeah, and people,
whatever you can do to keep people safe.
well, people will see it and be, oh, wait a minute, they must be seeing more
Yeah.
people crossing and that, so
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised that there weren't crosswalks since it's a street you have to cross to get to the school. So I just thought that there would be crosswalks, but there weren't. So I when I drove past it, I was surprised to see that they weren't even there. So I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Do we need to, put that in the form of a motion?
Yep.
Yep.
Don, you've gotta be leading the way here,
Okay, I make a motion that we recommend to the city council that we install crosswalks on Jefferson and Franklin on both sides of the streets there crossing 16th North.
okay, okay.
Second that.
Second, any discussion? Any, okay, Don?
Roll call, I agree with,
Don?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
yes?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Okay, passed. Thank you.
I got one more.
One more, and that is, community center. Let's see.
All right, the last item on the agenda today, Mr. Vice Chair and Commissioners, is another stop sign request, and this one's kind of makes sense. It's more of a parking lot exit at the community center as it exits onto North German Street at 6 North Street. So currently, there's a stop sign on 6 North, but there's not a mirrored one over at the community center parking lot. It's really just a parking lot exit, so I don't see it as conforming with the Uniform Traffic Control Manual or anything like that, since it's technically not a roadway and is a parking lot exit, so. But it is city property, so we need to go through the process.
Okay,
Just
Oh,
go-
and I should add that this was at the request of Heartland Express, the bus service
all right.
out there that
Okay.
makes multiple trips out there per day.
Don, you've
I'll
been,
just
you've
go
been
with-
doing, you've been doing quite well. You're kind of on a roll here, a woman. Keep going.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the city council to install a stop sign at the location on 6th North coming out of the community center parking area.
I'll second that.
Second by Bob. Okay. A discussion? A roll call? Bob?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Bob?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Vice Chair, that's all we have on the agenda today. I do want to note that the stop sign request at Center, Minnesota will go to the next city council meeting on the 7th, so this coming Tuesday. The remaining items I'll probably take on the 21st, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's
Need a motion?
Motion to
To
adjourn.
adjourn.
Don, you're in the hot seat all day today.
It makes his meeting minutes easy. You can just copy and paste.
There you
Yeah.
go.
A motion's been made to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second. Okay.
Second.
I don't think we need a roll call.
No roll call on this. All right.
Just when we start to get it down.
Make
then
sure
we
you
say
get
we-
Bill back here next time, will you?
I'll make sure to email him that,
All in
Mr.
favor?
Vice Chair.
Okay.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Happy 4th.
Again.
You know, it's always good where you can promote safety